Today has been an exceptionally, despicably long day. It's been a long day, month, year, 21 years. I've had 2 Celsius, cherry cola flavored, which is not something I'm necessarily proud to disclose. Trust me, it was necessary. There have just been so many changes, and I think it's all just catching up to me today. Someone has not been processing as much as she should be. I guess that's kind of what today is for. At least I've allocated this whole rest of the day just to settle down and kind of reflect on everything that's been happening. Apparently there's also like 5 different cosmic entities that are in retrograde right now, which is not necessarily something I fully believe in, but blaming the stars for some of the chaos going on in my life does relieve me a little bit of the burden and responsibility of actually having to rationalize everything that's been going on. It really is just the cherry on top of things. My job, as ideal as it is, does mean that I spend 9 hours straight in a polyester chair with no natural sunlight in the room whatsoever. It takes a toll on my skin, my mental health, all of the above. And those who know me well know that I emotionally photosynthesize. I need sun to feel human. So the first action item is a hot girl walk. My favorite thing ever. I'm gonna quickly get changed and I'm gonna go on a hot girl walk and get some sun because it has been a cold and dreary day inside my fluorescently lit office. So, yeah. If I'm a little bit out of breath. I didn't record that whole walk, obviously. A lot of uphills. This is the local park that I usually walk at with my roommate. We sometimes do little walks together. Hot girl walks are always better with a buddy, in my opinion. And so me and my roommate often walk around here. There's a really big pond that people can fish in, but there's also like a lot of baby ducks during the springtime. The vibes are nice. It's almost always green here. There's so many trees. Oh my good lord, that's a big ass bug. Please don't come here, sir. I try to convince myself I'm a nature girly, but then I see a big giant beetle and it terrifies the living shit out of me. You know what? It's okay. This is his home too. Oh my god, this bug is getting closer and closer. I'm actually a little nervous. Sir, please mind your own business. Oh, he's gone. Oh Jesus, he's gone. Where'd he go? A moment of appreciation for nature in itself, and then also just fresh air in general, because I feel like working in that corporate office or that corporate environment for hours at a time, you don't breathe fresh air. I've unsuccessfully attempted to quit nicotine 8 times since New Year's and since I made that resolution. My last vape just died. I've been staying strong in my promise not to buy another vape, which is due to more financial reason than actual health reason, but I'll take the one where I can. Point is, the air distinctively feels a lot better even after like 12 hours of no vaping. So when it comes to habits, I've noticed it particularly is harder to get rid of the bad ones, which I know is scientifically backed. Something about like dopamine surges or receptors, but I am hoping to make more positive shifts. And aside from my nicotine addiction, there have been an abundance of changes over the past couple months. A rather lengthy and tumultuous relationship ended. I started a new job. I moved out of my temp housing with my ex into my first apartment off campus where I like pay rent for and everything. I cut off some old friends. I made even better connections with other girls, so on and so forth. But at the end of the day, I can truthfully say that I'm thankful for every single change that did happen. All of it was necessary, more or less. But I'm also not afraid to admit that it has been a little terrifying too. I think it's only human to feel discombobulated when change arises, especially like extreme shifts in love life and just lifestyle in general. And I say this as someone who's grown up constantly changing her environment. I moved every 2 years, whatnot. I had to make new friends, had to adapt to different cultures, because trust me, in LA, every town has a different culture that you gotta learn. Even after all of that, change isn't necessarily easy still. But over time, I think it's fair to say that you learn to adapt to things, and that is what I think makes it easier to stay grounded even when, you know, the world's moving underneath your feet. My friend and I played therapy Jenga yesterday, and the premise is you pull blocks from the stack, but each block is a different color, and it's you answer a question with the corresponding color. And the questions are kind of emotional and personal. And one of the lighter-hearted questions that I got was, what is your idea of happiness? Or no, it was, what is the key to happiness for you? And I don't really have a good answer. I think everyone's answer is going to vary. You know, my go-to instinctive response was going to be like prescribed dosages of drugs. But because my friend's mother was at that table, I settled for a slightly more PG answer, which was, my personal key to happiness is accepting impermanence and being thankful for everything while it still lasts. There's a saying that goes like, I think it's, this too shall pass, and it's a saying that my mom used to repeat all the time as a mantra to me. And as I get older, it becomes more and more of a blessing and relevant to my life. To spare you the whole AP literature analysis of it, it pretty much just means two truths. One, if you're going through shit, don't stress about it. It won't last forever. And number two, if you're feeling good in life, enjoy it. It won't last forever. The duality of it can be both relieving and also a little bit sad, but it helps because that's the whole point of being alive. You're gonna die eventually, and I know I'm not articulating this in the most inspirational way, but it kind of adds a depth to everything's existence, emotions and experiences, and so on and so forth. So I brought a book, so I'm going to read this for a little bit because, as you can tell, the sun is already going down and most of the trees are blocking it. And I'm also like keeping an eye out for this beetle that has been crawling. Actually, it's gone. I'm not even kidding. I should have shown you. The beetle was at least the size of a dime. It is what it is. This is a slightly weird angle and the mic's not on, but I wanted to read this one passage that I just read in this book, which is such a good book, by the way. I'll get into why I love this book so much later. Who aspires to be a ballerina, and she's actually 42. She's not a girl, but, well, you know, you're still a girl when you're 42. It's a story mainly about her career as a ballerina, why she chose to be a ballerina, and her estranged relationship with both parents, but mainly her father, who divorces her mother early on, like even before the book starts, early on in their relationship, because he turns out, like, he comes out as gay. And it also talks about the AIDS crisis. It's just a whole smorgasbord of different topics. But anyway, this one passage I wanted to read. So pretty much she's explaining how at 17 she got rejected from her dream college, so she kind of adopted this whole new persona, and the alter ego was very like nonchalant. She was closed off, and she had this air of mystery around her where she, like, you know, she describes it as like she's wearing vintage men's suits and carries a suitcase full of lipstick. She adopts a mid-Atlantic accent, all these things, and like comes up with this whole backstory. One of her friends comments, "You seem super guarded," and she takes it as a compliment. And then the quote is, "Do I tone down this act eventually? A little, but by then I've discovered the pleasures of solitude and acquired a habit of loneliness." Then blah blah blah, a little bit of more context to this persona, and then she says, "I survive my bouts of self-loathing by constructing and completing regimens of self-improvement. You're so disciplined," people say, "so controlled. I have learned that they don't mean it as praise. I know it's not true. I'm not disciplined, I'm frightened." That describes, I think, so many people in their 20s and their early adolescence and just trying to figure out who they are as people. And especially if you come from like a background where you felt like you needed to gain the approval of people to feel good about yourself. That quote just, I don't know, that quote resonates with me, and I'm sure it's going to resonate with a lot of people. But anyway, point is, recommend this book. This might be the first time I've cooked for myself in over like 2 weeks. When I get home, I often just subject myself to like a whole afternoon and night just kind of rotting in my bed, you know, watching shows, and I tend to order on DoorDash because I just don't have the energy to cook. And I'm not gonna lie, today was not a very affirming experience. If anything, it just made me want to keep ordering DoorDash, but I've checked my bank account and I know that the DoorDash fees do add up over time, so I've decided to try and be a little bit more proactive. I ended up cooking enough where I technically meal prepped for an extra day or two, so that kind of saves me a little bit. But yeah, so also if I'm ordering from DoorDash, it tends to be Taco Bell, which is not exactly aligned with my health goals at the moment. So on today's menu is salmon, rice, and sauteed spinach. I'm hoping it's not very bland. I followed a recipe for like a lemon garlic bake. I've been trying to eat better both for aesthetics and also just mental health reasons too. Creating a meal plan on a budget is not necessarily the easiest thing to do, so I think this was a pretty good attempt, but apparently salmon's rich in like omega-3 fatty acids, which are Chester! Anyway, omega-3s help with brain function, heart health, and inflammation, I guess. And then rice is just a light source of carbs, energy, and spinach has... No, spinach is green, and by the laws of nature, I assume it's healthy, so... But this took way too long. It was like an hour, which I guess is not that long. But the recipe itself should have... You know, it's just the multitasking aspect. I'm not very... As much as I like to claim I'm good at multitasking, I really am not. And so I was trying to film like snippets of the cooking process while I was also watching New Girl, and then my friend FaceTimed me, and then I was trying to cook all 3 things at once and just couldn't do that, so I ended up just... Yeah. It became a bit of a functioning mess, but we did it, so time to dig in.